I'm not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for Life in the UK test, part 70, a Catholic king, that is on the page 31, while doing wrist training, and if you participate in wrist training, that is at your own risk. Charles II had no legitimate children. That means he had no children who were accepted to be his heir, so who could be on the throne after him. We know about something similar. Elizabeth I had no children, and so her successor was James VI, the King of Scotland, who then became James I of England. Now, Charles II had no legitimate children, so maybe he had children, but they were not legitimate. That means they were not eligible to be king or queen. He died in 1685, and his brother, so Oliver Cromwell died in 1658, and he died in 1685. When did Elizabeth I die? We know that Henry VIII died 1547. Elizabeth I died, never written. When she died in 1603. So Henry VIII, 1547, Elizabeth I, 1603, but between them between Henry VIII and Elizabeth I, there were Edward the VI, and he was from 9 to 15, I calculated this out. He was for some time king, and then there was Mary, King, Bloody Mary, and then Elizabeth I until 1603. And when we have Oliver Cromwell, but there were others between Elizabeth I, there were then James VI and James I, then Charles I, and Charles II, and now with Charles I. And Charles I, he was killed in 1649, and when we have Charles IX, when we have 1649, and after 1649, we have a time where there is no king. There was a republic called the Commonwealth, and Oliver Cromwell was called the Lord Protector, and he died in 1658, and in 1685, then after Richard something, we don't know the name, was the Lord Protector for 11 years. In May 1660, Charles II became king again, and now Charles II died in 1685. And his brother James, who was a Roman Catholic, became King James II in England, Wales and Ireland, and King James VII of Scotland. Charles II was Protestant. We know that he supported his policies. He and again was the Church of England established. That do we not know the religion of Charles II? So, but he had a Roman Catholic brother, and because Charles II had no children, his brother became the king. His name was James. He was the second James after James VI and James I, and now he was the James II of England, Wales and Ireland, northern of Ireland, and because there was already 6 different Jameses in Scotland, he became James VII of Scotland. So we have now a James VI of Scotland and James I of England, the same person. And we have the James II of England, Wales and Northern Ireland, which is the same person as James VII of Scotland. We will do the Roman numbers at one time. Let's do the wrist training. If you participate in this wrist training, that is at your own risk. We're having the hands formed to fists next to us, and we're bringing them down. And up, and again down, and up. And we're going to do it one last time. We have quite a lot of exercises, so we don't have to do them for that prolonged period of time. Now the same, just with bringing the fists to the inside and to the outside. And now for last time to the outside and to the inside. And now to the cautious big bang. The placing the fingertips of one hand on top of the fingernails of the other hand, and then we are opening, and that hand on top presses the whole time, and closing again. And we're doing that for a couple of times. Last time now. And closing again, and now we're changing. The other hand on top presses the whole time during the process of opening and closing of the cautious bang. And now last time. And let's do the next exercise. The frog testing water temperature. And we hand next to us, and we're bringing them down with flat fingers. And we're bringing them up again with strong fists. So press the fist a bit together. And again down with flat fingers. And again up with strong fists. Again down with flat fingers. And up with strong fists. And last time. Down with flat fingers. And up with strong fists. So, Charles II had no children, no legitimate children. And when he died in 1685, his brother, a Roman Catholic, James, got king. James II of England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and James VII of Scotland. James favoured Roman Catholics and allowed them to be army officers, which an Act of Parliament had forbidden. We know that Charles II established the Church of England, and Roman Catholics and Puritans were kept out of power. We don't know what that exactly means, but now we know that there was a law forbidding which had forbidden them to be army officers, so a high-rank person in the military, were now again allowed to be that. So Roman Catholics could be again military officers, army officers. We know about that they have the values and principles of a United Kingdom, which is no younger, so which comes later in history. There are tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs, and freedom from unfair discrimination. Here now in 1685, Roman Catholics were allowed to be army officers, which an Act of the Parliament had previously forbidden. He did not seek to reach agreements with Parliament and arrested some of the bishops of the Church of England. Charles II understood that he had to ask the Parliament if he wanted something rewarded. He understood that he could not always do as he wished, but would sometimes need to reach agreement with Parliament. That was his uncle. It was Charles I. And now the brother of Charles II, so his nephew, did not seek to reach agreements with Parliament and arrested some of the bishops of the Church of England. People in England worried that James wanted to make England a Catholic country once more. It was Catholic until Henry VIII, but Henry VIII wanted to divorce Catherine of Aragon, and he needed the allowance of the Pope and of the popes, and the popes wasn't giving it him, so he established the Church of England in England, which was a Protestant church, and then there was his son Edward, a Protestant, but then there was Mary, who was a Catholic, and then we have, it was once different, when we have Mary, when we have Elizabeth also, Protestant. I think there was one time again someone Catholic. So, Elizabeth first was Catholic. Charles I was Catholic and Charles II was also Catholic, but now James was not. Charles I was Protestant and Charles II was Protestant. Here now his chapter is a Catholic king. James II of England, Wales and Ireland is Catholic, and of Scotland the seventh. So this James here is Catholic. People in England were worried that James wanted to make England a Catholic country once more. However, his heirs were two daughters, so he had two children, and they happened to be female, and who were both firmly Protestants. And people thought that this meant there would soon be a Protestant monarch again. Okay. Then James' wife had a son. Okay, I mean James' wife had a son. We mean James and his wife had together a son. When James's wife had a son, suddenly it seemed likely that the next monarch would not be a Protestant after all. Why? So, the Catholic James, his brother was Protestant, Charles II. James was Catholic. He had 2 daughters. They were Protestant. And now he had, or his wife had a child. When James's wife had a son. Yes, that could mean that James II is not the father. And that son made it possible or to seem that the next king would be not Protestant. So, of the Catholic James, the 2 daughters were Protestant. And now his wife got a boy, and it was possible that that boy turned out to be Catholic. Are we hastening without much explanation through the history? I guess we do, but we are doing now the rocket booster. We're having the hands next to us with strong fists, and so now bend in the elbow, long arms, strong fists. And now we're bringing these fists to the inside. So we're doing strong fists, and we're bringing the fists into flexion. And now back into extension, and we're flaring the fingers. Now again in, and again with strong fist. And to the outside, the flat fingers to extension. And again in. And to the outside, the flat fingers. And the last row. To the inside, the strong fist. To the outside, the flat fingers. And let's do a little catching exercise for the wrists. The Sunday, so I have a sock or tennis ball or something at the outside, and forward, and catch it again. But the catching exercise does not include the process of catching it again. Maybe it's just enough to try. And we go in front and try to have a straight arm, and on the other side. And the last exercise, no, not an exercise. We are having a long arm, a little bend, and we're going with moderate pressure of the middle part of the lower arm. And on the other side, a little bend, and we're going with moderate pressure over the lower part of the arm. So, Charles II had no legitimate children. His Catholic brother James became the new king. He had 2 daughters, both Protestants. But his wife had a son, and it was possible now, suddenly it seemed likely that the next monarch would not be a Protestant after all. That's the end of section. We will go on with the Glorious Revolution, and it has something to do with this section, so we will not just break off there. We will go on. We have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. What are we going to do? We're talking about Isaac Newton, 1643, 1727, 1643, 1727, and William Shakespeare was 1564, 1660. 1564, 1616, and Isaac Newton is 1643, 1727. Isaac Newton was born in Lincolnshire. He went to Cambridge University. He studied science, and he became an important figure in the field. He published the book Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, something like that. And in that he talked about, or showed how the gravity of the universe works, and he also showed that the rainbow has that the white light has the color of a rainbow, and many of the things he said are still of value today. Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, Philosophia Naturalis Principia Mathematica. And the quotes of William Shakespeare. Once more unto the breach, Henry V, to be or not to be, Hamlet, aroused by any other name, Romeo and Juliet, all the world's a stage as you like it, the darling buds of May, Sonnet 18, shall I compare me to a summer's day. And the next part, it will go on with the Glorious Revolution. I guess it will still be brutal. I thank you very much, and until next time.